Good afternoon, everyone present here. Now we move on to the next technical session, which will be head by CA Vikram Udupi, sir. First, I request CA Kavita to please escort the guest to the dais. Martin Luther King once said that the function of education and learning is to teach one to think intensively and creatively. On that, with the motive of being educated today, we are here to move on with the next session of technical session about bank audit, that is blend of lending, that is audit of advances. Lending of advances and accepting deposits are the most important functions of banks, and as a part of the audit, what we are doing, the auditors also play a major role in doing verifying all these transactions when in the course of audit. So moving on with the technical session of this, I request my friend Tashwini to introduce the guest for the day.
Thank you, Amrita. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Tashwini. It gives me an immense pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Vikram Udupi. He is a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and Institute of Company Secretaries of India. He is a partner in Suresh & Co. He brings knowledge, experience, and expertise with proficiency and finesse. Through professional career spanning 12 years, he has led various prestigious assurance and advisory engagements for some large and marquee clients in IT and ITES, manufacturing, textiles, retails, real estate sectors, with an added expertise and exposure for entities listed in Stock Exchange of India. And the list goes on. He has been invited at various forums to conduct sessions on subjects related to Ind AS, IFRS, and other related topics. He has been a part of ICAI for preparation of educational material for Ind AS related matters and has been invited by C&AG offices to provide training to the staffs on Ind AS matters and analysis of financial statements. His area of specialization includes statutory audit, Ind AS, US GAAP reporting, and consultancy on financial reporting. He has worked extensively with multinational corporations and Indian groups. He brings in a demonstrated history of working in audit and assurance industry. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome our most talented speaker, CA Vikram Udupi.
Good afternoon all. So very happy to see you all today in this session, and the topic what I'm going to talk today, it's something to do with one of the biggest components in any bank. So thanks a lot for the SICASA. I thank the SICASA team and the institute for giving me an opportunity to come here and share certain knowledge whatever I have with you guys, and it's pleasure to come to our institute and speak. With this, I would like to take up a small background, or rather I would say to create a pitch for the whole subject what we are talking. Generally what happens for any CA firm, bank audits will be one of the first sign-offs for their financial year. And the moment bank audit comes, there will be both a kind of pleasure in the happiness and also a kind of feeling there is so many things to do. Whoever has seen bank audits before, or whoever has read how many certificates or how many pages needs to be signed, it's very important that it runs for numbers. The moment you see pages, you may feel, boss, am I supposed to do all this? It comes with a disclaimer. Whenever you visit the bank, the first question the branch manager or anybody there asks is, can I give you coffee? The second one will be, when are you signing off the balance sheet? So It may be sometimes that signing of balance sheet, they may expect to do it before you complete your cup of coffee. So that's the kind of expectation those people will have. Unfortunately, yes, this is how the pressure could be for various reasons. If you understand the way bank works, you have India is so huge. There are multiple number of states, union territories and all. Each of these states has quite a few districts, taluks, parishads, all those stuff. And it's mandated, rather from the government side, it is required that there will be a bank in every possible part of a country. And when you see the number of branches, it runs to quite a few. Just imagine, we have been doing just audit for one of the branches. Maybe generally what happens for a CA firm, it is 2 or 3 branches they give. Like one CA firm, you will have multiple CA firms. They'll be reporting their reports to regional office or zonal office. From there, it goes to next level. It could be something like a central office. From there, it goes to consolidation office. And at there, statutory auditors will be working on it. The whole fundamental is, for any bank, they will have a deadline as to by when they should complete it. In general, it could be like 60 days from the end of the financial year. If someone has to consolidate these many branches sitting in central level, they at least require data, the complete data by last week of April. If that doesn't happen, it's impossible for a statutory auditor who is sitting there and doing, rather completing the audits. And it is not that they only look at the MOCs, but they need to also look at the LFAR. You would have seen what LFAR is, or you would have heard what LFAR is. The name itself says it's a long form audit report. And if you see that form, it runs, even the topic what we are talking today, that runs to almost 9 pages. Our Companies Act audit report, it may be 3 pages plus another 3 pages for CARO, maybe another 2 pages for internal financial control. In that, you will see a good amount of responsibility of company, scope of audit, and all those things comes, and your opinion could be hardly 4 lines. And CARO, you have, as of today, it may be another revised CARO will have 21 clauses. You are supposed to answer 21 clauses. Whereas in bank, you will have to answer the entire long form audit report, which will speak about the advances, it will speak about the debts, it will speak about the deposits, all those stuff. And because of this, there is, on one hand, you have pressure to complete well in time, and on the other hand, you have to make sure the quality is at its best. The earlier speaker was bringing one name quite often, one of the lending institutes. Why all these things could have happened? One side, we know they work for 365 days and we go there maybe max 7 to 10 days. They may have concurrent audit, they may have internal audit, they may have quarterly reporting, they may have RBI inspection. Still, when couple of hands are working for 365 days compared with few hands working for not even 10 days, you need to understand the kind of materiality which you need to consider, the kind of transactions you need to check, the kind of reporting you need to make, keeping all those things in concern. And advance is one, again, a mammoth over there. For any bank, advance is the basic, I would say, a line item. Say, if at all you say manufacturing company or a software company, for them, for a manufacturing company, whatever they manufacture is their product. The more they manufacture, the more they can sell. A software company, the more employees they have, they can provide more services. Similar to Chartered Accountant office. The more Chartered Accountants is there in office, they can provide more services. In the same way, when it comes to banks, the entire financial status or the performance depends on how much money they were able to lend and to what extent the money lent has been standard and good. Just by, for the sake of name, if they keep on lending money, they'll end up with like the bank which you would have heard a lot in the last session. Similar to that, you have quite a few examples. So as an auditor, on one hand, people start telling you have to complete within so and so days. On the other hand, if there is any error, again the community which is outside start telling the auditors have not done their job. That's an unfortunate thing. We have to keep that in mind. Nevertheless, it should not put us down. Whether it has 100 pages, whether it has 1000 crore advances, that should not affect you. What is important for you is to what extent you are able to understand the operations which is happening in the bank, the kind of internal control systems which they have in the bank, the kind of advances which they have lent. If you are able to design the whole stuff, then take it from me, it's not difficult for you to complete the audit in whatever time they tell. Please keep in mind, out of that whatever 10 days or 10 days you sit there, you are supposed to sit there. 3 to 4 days goes on reporting. And whatever we are talking on long form audit report, certificates, balance sheet, P&L, there were days where it used to be hard copies. Now it is part of the portal. Any bank you go, first thing what happens is the moment you get your appointment letter, you will also receive a code wherein you will have a user ID and password. You need to log in through the bank's system. You cannot do it from your office. You should go to bank system. There you can start downloading certain data. And one of such will be your LFAR. You need to know how you update LFAR. So these are the important things which you can do even before the bank, the timeline starts. Generally, 31st March, 1st and 2nd April, they don't let anybody to go to their office. They'll be generating all the reports and they take some time to consolidate all these reports. Since it is centralized system, takes time to consolidate it. There was one example which was quoted by this earlier speaker. Someone makes a payment on 31st March and the reconciliation part it could be the transaction report, reconciliation and all, everything happens and you get a final trial balance. That will take some time. Meanwhile, if you are aware as to which bank you are doing the audit for, say for example, last year you had done and this year more or less it will be a similar bank. And if you have appointment letter in your hand, you can visit bankers, collect these basic informations. And one of the basic Gitas for you is there will be something called audit instructions, which will be issued by the centralized branch. For example, if you are doing audit for Canara Bank Central Branch will send out a audit instruction package. And that instruction package is something which guides you throughout the audit. It will have all the basic informations, the reporting and other package which you need to complete. It will also have details about various circulars which has been issued. It will also have certain primary informations about the bank and the branch. Collect those and start allocating the areas amongst yourself. Obviously, you will have a senior who will allocate the activities to each of you members. Identify what is your assignment, what is your area which you are going to work on, and try to correlate what is expected from me through my audit instructions. That will be one of the starting points. And something great in bank audit which we don't understand at the initial stages, but at a later stage which matters a lot. Just imagine you have been articles, you have been staff who is doing this audit. You go to branch and the moment you open the trial balance, the numbers will be pretty huge. You don't call it per se turnover, but in our language we can say, okay, assuming it is turnover, that's income portion. It's fantastic to see. It's not that everywhere we will be able to get such kind of companies. The turnover could be a little lesser, but here you will see, you'll be fascinated looking at certain numbers. Second, when you get into bank, you are not just doing the audit of bank. You will also be checking at various documents of borrowers of the bank. Let us take example. A bank has lent money to a real estate person A bank has lent money to a manufacturer who has local sales and local procurement. The bank has also lent money to a manufacturer who has imports and who has exports. Bank might have lent money to startups who may not even have started earning revenue. Banks could have lent money in the fashion of guarantees. It's unfunded stuff. They would have done all this. And you have the complete authority, or rather I would say, I don't call it as authority. You have the scope where you can take out all the documentation and understand what is the nature of business. You can actually understand what projection they have given. For every loan, there are lot of documentation involved. Your audit instruction also gives some information about documentation they'll collect. You will get to see these business models. You will get to see the turnover, what they are doing. You will get to, and very basic thing, one of the superb document which we make to update long form audit report is ratio analysis. And all these things, keep in mind, banker doesn't give it to you. You guys need not to go and edit or write at that point in time. Bankers give it to you. The moment you see ratios, it looks different, and you will try to, and there the question may arise, okay, 1 year NP ratio was X, another year NP ratio is different. 1 year inventory turnover was Y, another year it is something different. These kind of numbers, trust me, it's not available in the database. If you have to get the database, you need to pay a bomb for it. But here it is available in your hand. And as chartered accountants, once you clear, this knowledge is your fundamental investment. This knowledge is something which nobody can steal it from you. And you can use this when you go as an auditor. You have seen your companies as an auditor. You go and seek some information, they give some explanation. You are going to audit a bank where the people who have lent money, you will talk to them. So you'll get to know what a lender expects from the company, what a lender expects from the borrower. It's not so easy to get these kind of information. How many ever books you read, how many ever guidance notes you scribble, how many ever YouTube channels you check. These practical exposure those things can never beat this practical exposure. You get to meet a manager. It could be, if your luck is good and if you have been an auditor, a part of central audit team, it's ultimate. You will get to do quarterly reviews. You will get to do various transactions in a bank. One of the basic things could be a branch which does foreign exchange. It's not that all the branches gets to do foreign exchange. There are few branches which interacts with foreign exchange. You may get to do those kind of reviews. There could be banks which has branches which runs into large corporate or mid corporate. Means to say, they lend money only for corporates whose turnover is requirement is say more than 200 crores or 500 crores. Imagine if you get chance to go and do these informations, and there you'll be talking to not a regular cashier or a telecaller. You'll be talking to the person who is in charge of loan. And take it from me, these people are not someone who have just completed their bachelor's and joined there. They will have a very good knowledge of industry. They will have a very good knowledge of RBI guidelines. They will have knowledge about the whole commercial aspect. You are going to sit with them, you may question them, and you will get to hear a lot. Just have your eyes, ears open, maybe mouth shut at some time, and you should know when to open the mouth. Otherwise, when you hear various stuff, you'll be just sitting in one place. You will be sitting with one of the loan departments. You just watch them, what happens from morning till evening. All of a sudden, someone comes running to him and say, sir, there is an issue here. Someone has not shared a proper document. This has been identified as a risk matter in inspection. Someone wants money immediately. I need to send this much of money. I need to get the approval. There is a stock which was going on the ship which has been affected. There are some issues which is happening with the management. A director has left the company. So what's going to happen there? So all these things you keep on hearing there. And each of these matter, if you hear, and if you understand why they are talking or why are they so much bothered, the basic objective of chartered accountancy is met. Once you are a chartered, this is what you are going to do, either as a finance person or as an investment catalyst or as a chartered accountant in practice who does audit. Anywhere you go, today the most important thing which a CA firm or a chartered accountant which has to keep in mind, am I technologically advanced? Do I have knowledge of business? How strong am I when it comes to financial transactions in the say treasury management? You take any startup, they don't care how good you are in terms of accounting principles, how strong you are to build a plan, how strong you are where you can convert the thought process into business model. It's always thought process which matters. How strong you are to convert it into business model, and how can you bring funding to them. And of course, technology. Without technology, you can't. There were days where we used to call city taxi and wait for them for 15-20 minutes, pay them for the drive, what they do from their office to my house. Then he used to pick me. Today, just a phone, I may order through Uber or Ola. He comes to me. If I don't like that car, I will just bang the door and say, boss, I don't want this. This is dirty. Why all these things are happening? Those days I never had an option. If that fellow shouts at me, okay boss, sorry, take me there. But today with this technology evolving, that you are able to expect, or you are able to express through technology. If this fellow doesn't come, the technology makes sure another guy comes. So that everything happens in a short span, and technology matters a lot. And if you see banking, one of the wonderful technologies they have. Just imagine 2 years back, all this virus started, and many of you people would have heard from your parents, from your friends, don't touch anything outside. Don't use currency note. Don't go to ATM machine. Don't go and buy from any stores. Just imagine if we never had a Paytm or a Google Pay. Things would have been so bad. Many people faced issues during demonetization. They were not able to get the, tender, the money, currency, whatever you call. But I don't think any of us had felt this heat during this virus time. Why? Thanks to the way the entire network has happened. Sitting in your place, you could have opened maybe ICICI Bank portal or BOB portal, done a transaction, told I have transferred the money. They will send it through maybe Dunzo or Uber Eats, whatever it is. Just imagine how technology is happening. You, from your account, you may be sitting in one corner of Bangalore. You have done a transaction. The other corner of Bangalore is on the recipient side. They take the money. A small mistake, instead of you might have asked for, you have 1 lakh rupees in your bank balance, you had purchased an item which is worth 1K. And adding 10 to that transaction is very simple thing. Things can happen. But how many of us have seen these errors? I would say hardly anybody. Out of the population, if we count, it is very, very, very nominal because of technology. This is the positive thing. Just look at the negative things. If everything is happening through this, even if someone siphons 1 paisa or 10 paisa from your account on a regular basis, it's not possible. Today, what happens many times when you see your email trail or when you see your bank statement, I don't think anybody would have got bank statement nowadays, but if you see your phone pay statement, there will be hundreds of transactions, debit. There will be one small one. Who will get to know the 10 paisa? It will not even appear on your eyes. You'll be like, okay, chhod do, kuch hoga either. So those kind of things, how well a bank should manage, how well the technology manage, you should know how it works. That is where he just made a note, internal financial control. For any small companies whose turnover is less than say 25 crore or borrowings is less than 50 crore, unless it is a public company, IFC is not applicable. And majority of the same, it may so happen that people might not get exposure on internal financial controls in a regular basis. Of course, Keeping aside the other stuff, there are various people who get to do that, but maybe few may not have got access. Just imagine you are going to bank, you get to do IFC for bank. There are few questionnaires in internal financial control which speaks about how should the control be. So you'll get to see how it is happening. You only don't see what is there on the Excel sheet, but you get to feel it live over there. That's the technology stuff. So once you complete your bank audit, trust me, if you take it serious for 8 or 10 days, don't even have to spend more than 7 or 8 hours. Even if you want to spend, bankers will not let you sit there. They will only say, time aitu hogana banni. By 6 o'clock, they'll all start. Alleno ide, illeno ide, all those things they'll start. So with that in mind, but if your planning is strong and if you know what kind of activities you are doing, 8 to 10 days, you may be in a position to complete. And at the end of 10th date, you will be a totally different person. When you entered bank, you might not have heard there is something called bill. Not a bill, what we talk in our audit evidence. There is something called bills of, maybe acquisition of bill, sale of bill. Bill in the sense that sales invoice. Once you come out on 10th day, you'll be able to give GAN to your mother on what exactly a bill is. You might not have seen how a foreign currency gets converted into Indian currency. If you had got chance to work with these branches, you can write what ES11 is about. You can understand ES11 very easily. So this bank season, on one hand, it gives you a good amount of training. You will learn a lot. And of course, third, the most important thing, you get the best of the best welfare activities over there. You'll get good food, you will be considered to be a demigod over there. People start coming to you asking, sir, yen beku sir, madam yen beku sir. So all those things you'll see. Those things apart, but you feel I'm in a very good profession. You feel proud about that you have chosen a best profession. It's not so easy for anybody to open up their balance sheet. Just imagine how many of you would have shown your bank passbook to someone else, no matter how much ever close that friend is. How many cases your father would have told what kind of transaction he does. It is so difficult or so different, but as an auditor, when you go, irrespective whether it's a bank or any other corporate, it's only auditors who have access to this, provided we take it properly and we don't use unnecessarily any other tools. But this profession is one which gives us everything. This makes us feel end of the day, yes, there are two kinds of things. I go in the morning, I come back in the night. That's a normal life. The mentor zindagi could be you go in the morning, do something value addition to your client. You find out, okay, this is something which can be done in the industry. This a new transaction which could be done, a new activity which could be done. You learn it. You come back with so much of satisfaction. Yes, I have learned this and I will use it for another person. And when you use it for another person, that is where you feel the satisfaction. You will keep your collars up and say, yes, I have done this. And you know, when your partner or your client appreciates, the money will not give you that satisfaction. Of course, money is mandatory for anybody, but that satisfaction matters. And trust me, the profession gives. So with this background, I would, and one more last thing which I missed, the propriety objective. Wherever you get into bank, please keep in mind, you are not representing anybody else. You are representing yourself. You are the ones who is paying taxes. You are the ones who is sitting here from morning till evening for what joy. End of the day, you want to achieve and earn. That hard earned money, you are going to keep it somewhere. You may either invest or you, end of the day, you also pay taxes. And these are the monies which are going and sitting in bank. And if bank does any mischief, the depositor is the first person who is going to lose. And unfortunately, those depositors are all these Aam Aadmi people who would have earned, would have made lot of efforts in earning that and would have kept thinking in mind that my money is in safe hands, and without knowing that what is happening there. You get an option to see what kind of things happen, and you may be in a position to alert well in advance. So it's propriety thing, not only for the government and else, and of course for you. banking industry, there is a way, just to give a kind of comparison. I'm not sure how many of you people would have been grown in a time where there were some sort of statements which were being made. Indian population is very bad. It's more than 80 crore, more than 90 crore. Everyone is, every second, so many people, so many births happen. In the recent past, you don't hear that. The whole reason is today, the available resources in India is so huge, and that itself is one of the capital when you are in industry, or when you are, when compared with your GDP. Today, why Indian GDP is so huge? One, of course, it's a big nation, and also look at the percentage of working population vis-a-vis non-working population. With any country in the globe, Indian working population is pretty high. If you compare the same way, there were lot of, Greece had lot of issues couple of years back. The whole reason was working population was very limited, whereas the people who depend on government was very high. Who will work? Everyone just sleeps, eats and sleeps, that's it. And the same way, for any nation to grow along with the population, what you need is the monetary support. And there has to be a channel which makes sure there is transfer of money which happens from the required person to the person to whom it has to go. And this is banking channel which helps. And if banking channel is strong, it is well clear to note that industry will grow no matter what. Recent 1 month, I don't know how many of you would have understood how the financial transaction works. SWIFT cancelled its operations from the country which is in war. Just imagine one of your friends or relatives is there in that country, and he has to send money to you or to his parent. Today it is very difficult. Of course, there were good things. Now what's happening is they're saying, okay, why should I depend on only SWIFT? Can I have some different way? People said our Rupee can be a competitor to this, and through that they will have money, right? So Indian Oil purchased, thanks to the kind of banking channels what we have, thanks to the kind of technology what we have in our nation. And without banking, things will not happen. There were days where you had to issue a check and you had to wait for 2 days, 3 days to get it cleared. Today it's a second. You just send and there were days after 6 o'clock, even NEFT was not, never used to happen. Today, NEFT is 24 hours. So this banking industry helps not only an individual consumer, but various people. And that's again, one of the backbones for any industry, any country to grow. I spoke about multiple banking applications. The most important for you is you need to understand how the controls work. Reporting to RBI, something which is from last year, there is a concept called annual information system. So what happens, of course, this is there from quite long, but income tax portal, people would have seen how income tax portal looks. We always used to see only for 26 years reconciliation. Today, there is another tab called AIS. And AIS gives live data. Whenever there is a transaction which is happening on the other side, that person has to report to their to their authority. When the moment he makes it, it comes and sits in my account. You will get to know, okay, if someone has sold material to you, if he has filed GST return, automatically it comes and sits in your AIS. You went and purchased a property worth 3 crore, automatically it comes and sits here. Someone transferred 10 lakh rupees to your account, that comes and sits there. So these communications from banks gives you the information. For you, it is easy now. You don't have to go and check your bank account. Okay, when did I receive? What is that amount which I had received? Just open your AIS, you have the data over there. And when you do for your clients, this also helps a lot. And that is where our banking industry is running into. Centralized operations, on one hand, it is something which is great, but when you go as auditors, this will act against you. For every question you ask, the branch people may say, idu central alli agatte. That is the standard response you get. Idu namige gottilla central agatte. TDS happens at central location. PF happens at central location. Loans, certain investments happens at central location. Employee payroll happens at central location. Some corporate rents happens at central location. That's the best way for him to say, boss, I am done with my audit. I had 5 points. I told them central locations, my work done. So that's how they think. But even though if it happens at central location, you have the complete authority to seek what is that you want. You can ask, you will get it. Be strict, you get it, and your work will be done. Features in banking industry. Of course, Banking Regulation Act, you would have been reading in your CPT or IPCC or Inter, whatever it is, you would have read. Regulations which are prescribed from RBI. You have something called prudential norms. In simple prudential norms, if you need to compare with your accounting standard, whatever is told in AS5, AS9, AS29, those are the basic things. AS29 is about provisions. AS9 is about revenue recognition. AS5 is more about what items comes. Very simple. Prudential norm says when should you record revenue and how much should you create provision for. Whatever you have read, simple, you would have got good marks in your exams. Apply it. Little more advanced maybe. Here there is nothing called standard provision under AS29, or if you are good in Ind AS, of course Ind AS 37 it is. But when it comes to bank, it is little different. They have been good enough. It happens everything through system. The moment it is more than X number of days, you have a provision, Y number of days, another provision. That is being told under prudential norms. Characteristics, source of funds in balance sheet. You have in a regular balance sheet, I have something called capital on one side and assets on other side. So when it comes to bank, they will not have anything called capital. You will not get to see a share capital list of shareholders in a bank's balance sheet. Instead, you will see deposits. Deposit is basically what you and I would have kept our hard-earned money over there. It is a source of funding for them. On the other hand, they will have advances. The moment I take money somewhere, I should use it. So I have got the liability, I have got money, and I should lend it to someone. So that's where the advance comes. And advance, nobody does free of cost. It's commercial lending. You have various interest rates, various processing fees, various charges which is being lent. That comes over there. Few bank, rather at a global level, there will be investment. I'm 100% sure majority of you would have seen the series Scam. They would have seen how they use the excess money in banks. It's a money market, right? That is where you can have lot of funds. So how effectively the funds can be utilized by the bankers. That happens in investment activities. International networks, you'll get to see a lot of our banks being operating outside India. I have not got this opportunity to do those audits. I wish you people get those. And if you get, please come and explain me how you did. They have a lot of networks over there. And last but not the least, they are so much dependent on technology. For every small thing, when you sit for 8 to 10 days there, you will see the kind of drama which happens when it comes to their technology. You ask a report, they say Finacle work ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ sir, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. User ID work ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ sir, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. So all these things happen. Finacle is one of the account tools. Proud to tell, it's being done by our Infosys. It's one of the best tools. Majority of the banks use it. It is an ERP. There is a difference between an accounting tool and an ERP. ERP is something which does end-to-end everything. So it takes care of advances, it takes care of deposits, it takes care of account creating user ID, account ID, everything end-to-end, including your balance sheet and P&L. That tool only gives. They depend so much on it. On the other hand, they also tell report bantu kotte. I don't know what is happening inside. So for you, it's again a pain. They will give you one huge trial balance. If you see the trial balance, only first day gone. So you'll see the trial balance, ishton madabeku gone. That's what we feel. And if you actually go and open the trial balance, there may be say 1000 line items. At least 25% of line items will be nil. that is not applicable to your branch. So you need to understand what is that which is applicable to you, what is that which is not applicable. As I said, this is something which gets consolidated at the central level. If you don't have forex, some other branch will have forex. So for that, you cannot delete your line. So that line continues to be there and you put your amounts as blank, nil over there. How do you kick off an audit? This is something which is always exciting. You will tell your parents, you are in the bank or not in the bank. Morning breakfast also you will not have. You will go there, aure kodtaralli. Some nice thing. Fine. And Amma will be very happy. No need to prepare dabba today. So yes, well dressed. You will have a strong, or rather it may be a business formal. You go with a nicely polished shoe or slipper. You go there with a lot of expectations that I'll do this today. And your manager will also comes along with you. You go and sit with bank. First you wait whether manager comes or not. He'll come sometime and sometime he'll be busy in closure of some transaction, but you have to go there. As I told, the first thing what you will do, please read your complete audit package, audit whatever has been shared. Keep your questions ready and go and tell, you just give this. That's enough. So they'll make all faces, they'll give it to you, they have to give it. You make sure that they give it to you. The basic difference could be when you go to company audit, the kind of response what you get may be different when you go to bank audit. In bank audit, majority of the times people will try to escape from the requirement. It may not happen in company's audit. So that is one of the basic things. And of course, the kind of accounting policies what you have in company audits are different. You may be talking about application of AS 14, application of AS 15, application of 24, 26 here and all. Please don't expect all those. It is something different, more matured here. Those kind of differences will have. Limited time for field work, can't help. Allocation of team and work. Try to allocate your team in such a fashion that one person gets supported by another one. They get into the advances. Whoever gets into the advances, make sure they also check the interest portion corresponding to that. The other team will get into deposits and the interest over that. One person will be completely into maybe LFAR and other person may be something into certification. And there will be one person obviously in your team who will say, boss, neen madu, na note what you do. So that person you can give him, please get into reporting. That's a simple job. You can give it to him and he'll be working even after you leave the branch premises. So that why? Because the person who has to do reporting is not obliged to do whatever he sees, or is not something where he does whatever is there in the current financial year. He should see what was done in the last financial year. And the first thing what you do is take out all last year signed reports. You will ask, give me all the last year balance sheets, P and whatever income statements, certificates, LFAR, all those things. And he tries to identify, were there any negative comments? You have to go line by line with, do you have any negative comments? Are there any audit entries passed? Of course, people call it as memoranda and all. Simple word, audit entry. You are going and telling boss, your trial balance is not right. I am passing an audit entry. It's a memoranda of change. So very simple. Don't get too much into that. MOC is not a rocket science. Whatever you do in your regular audit, someone has not accrued salary for 12 months. So you make him accrue for 12th month. Simple one you also do here. But for that, there will be a lot of documentation. There used to be days where you used to do in 5 different copies. Today, thanks to technology, it happens through system. And another thing which happens, you go meet all the people. First thing what you ask in an advance is, get the list of advances. Broken into 2 items, advances issued in the current year, advances issued prior to the current year. Means as of last year. It may be how many ever number of years. Whatever was given in the current year, that is where your responsibility will be more. whatever was given earlier year, still you are responsible because you are signing the balance sheet. You are responsible for it, but some activities would have been done by the old auditor. Our standard of auditing itself says if something is done by a statutory auditor before, you can, unless you find any evidence, you can rely on those work that is done. And you divide the advances into various things. Okay, how many advances I have? In one of the next slides, I'll tell about that. And you divide all those advances and put a nominal common sense over there. And if you are the lender, how you would have thought? Can the money what I lend to a builder, assuming there is a real estate guy, friend of mine, who wanted to construct house, he comes to me and tells, you will think twice, okay, this fellow is already stuck, there is a fire and he has some problems. So if I give, will it come back to me or not? You will definitely think. On the other hand, another friend asked, Nange cinema theatre go beku dudu kodu. So obviously you will give, because the chances of recoverability is pretty high, and you know that this guy goes, his pocket money comes and he'll pay it back to you. So similar way, you analyze what kind of loans you have, secured versus unsecured. If something is secured, yes, even if loan is not recovered, you will get some security. Unsecured risk is high. Again, in this, you will look into kind of industries, real estate, of course. Please don't think that I am trying to say real estate is bad. It's not like that. It's only the complexities which are there. The complexity in real estate is obviously high. You would have seen last 2 years, there were so many apartments which were being constructed. People started to leave Bengaluru and all those apartments are just vacant now. Similar things. On the other hand, there could be some industry which is a, say, trader. He gets money and he gives money. So that way the risk could be little lesser compared with this. Software company which has a subsidiary or which has a parent outside India or which has customers outside India or which has customers who have enough cash. You'll be like, fine, hota hai, we can give it to him. So those are the things you yourself will be able to tell. Please use that common sense on the advanced table what you get. Your work is half done. Samples, select, identify, and in addition to this, banking regulations, LFR itself has given samples. It says, if an advance is more than 10 crore, you have to take up. The wording uses 10% of the advance or 10 crore, whichever is lower. Say, for example, the total advances in that entity is just 50 crore, 10% is 5 crore. So whatever is above 5 crore, you will take those samples and you will do your audits. That is there. In addition to that, you will also select, as the speaker was telling, there will be something called gold loan, there will be something called educational loan, there should be something called, your personal loan, all those things will be there. Just see, okay, what is the total amount and what is my policy. Every bank will have a policy. I cannot lend personal loan in excess of X amount. You got the top item over there and you will see, okay, how many loans are there? Is it something which is material? So you decide based on it. And other thing which you do, try to meet as many people as there in advance department. Each one will have a story to tell. Just listen to those. You will get lot of information. They will tell, okay, this is my biggest customer. I got this customer and this customer is 100% accurate in making the payment. This customer has this many new orders. All those things he will say. The moment you hear new orders, you will get to know, okay, what is he going to tell? And he may tell, okay, this is a part of this group. You know this group, right? So this is one of the subsidiary of that group. All those things they'll tell. So you will gather all the information. Okay, this pertains to A, B, C, D. Make notes. The moment he says that there are some orders, you will have to just go and see in the reports, whatever they have sent, have they mentioned about these orders, whether these orders have materialized, are there in loans against this? This says there is a related company. Okay, what is that related company? Are there any allegations against the related company? You may hear a lot of news in a regular day-to-day affair. If at all you feel, okay, one of the entities which has been under the scanner for a reason, they have taken money and they have not repaid. The moment you get to know, okay, this company is related to that, your sixth sense should tell, boss, give more importance for this, because there are possibilities that person takes the money here and somewhere it gets siphoned to another entity and it may never come back. there are possibilities that it may lead to some negative issues. Don't think that always there will be a negative thing or a fraud, but your eyes and ears should be so strong. The moment you see these kind of things, you should be able to process it. Don't process and tell, without processing, don't tell there is a fraud, but give some time to process it. So what generally, it's a simple methodology which you can do is, whenever you feel there is some issue happening in an account, just call your colleague and say, boss, I feel there is some fishy thing happening here. I would like to take a stand which tells that there is some fraud here. You take a stand that there is no fraud. Let us argue ourselves. That gives you solution. Majority of the time this resolves. You don't even have to go to someone else and seek so many questions. You just amongst yourself, you argue, you plot the scenario, go to your senior or a manager or a partner and tell these are the observations, and he'll be able to tell you whether what steps needs to be taken. IFC review I told. Documentation of work papers. If you feel that documentation is important, this is a challenge. If you feel documentation is not important, your life is taken care there. Nobody gives you documentation, you can just come back. But as a chartered accountant, it is mandatory that we have documentation. And the biggest challenge is all these papers, you may be carrying your laptop, if you take it there, it doesn't work. They cannot put you onto their network. They will not give you access to either Finacle or any of their tools. They'll say, Nami gottilla one desktop ide kutkolli adralli. And you have to go sit there, wait for someone to come and help you, give you the access code, then give you reports. Fine, you will see everything. You have done your documentation, working job. You have done your audit process. From there, you should take it out to your system. That's again a big challenge. So plan it well so that what are all the work papers I have, I should do, and how do I take it back to my office. You guys will be knowing the whole concept of peer review. The pain of being level 1 peer review, my team knows. So our firm is level 1 peer reviewed, and we know what kind of pain we go through when a peer review happens. They'll ask various questions, and of course it is for our good. So one of my peer reviewers, he was telling, he gave one example. It seems he went to one person and he asked for a file, audit documentation. What he got was the appointment letter. That's it. That was his audit documentation. Because that's the truth. Many times you don't get data. So you should know how to get the data and how to get the details. At that point in time, you will remember every line item of a trial balance. After 2 days, you will forget everything. Document everything and please bring it back to office. That is the most important thing. Next year, if some junior of yours asks, please helkodu nange neen ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದೆ, at least this documentation will help him that what work you have done. Audit instructions I told, please hug that. That will take care of majority of the things. Rba Circulars, very important. Quite a few master circulars will be released, which speaks about various activities which has been taken care by RBI. Simple one, majority of would have seen during COVID, there were a lot of benefits given. How does it come? It's through circulars. And many times the bank people may not be aware of circulars. So you need to make sure that, wherever the new circulars has come, has it been properly implemented. This and guidance note on bank, guys, trust me, the guidance note which is being issued by our institute, it's really fantastic. It's pretty big. There is a 2022 edition, fantastic edition, and the way our website has taken care of it. If you see the page, first it tells what is the guidance note. It also gives you the master circular, and it also gives you how much, whether if you are a central statutory auditor, what and all you should do. If you are a bank branch auditor, what and all you should do. It's a fantastic thing. Please take some time to review this guidance note. There are 2 types of guidance notes. One is the guidance note basically, another is an annexure. I request you to first read annexure, at least see annexure what is there. You will not feel sad that it is so huge. Once you see annexure, you will get to know what and all is there. Then your interest you will create an interest amongst yourself. Go back to guidance note. You don't have to read entire guidance note from page 1 to page 800. You will be allocated with some work. Please go for that particular work. Assuming you are doing agriculture advance, our guidance note has specific topic on agriculture advance. It not only gives the text, it also tell what audit procedures to be done. Just copy those, apply in your procedure, seek those information. 70% of your work is done. It may take maximum 4 to 5 hours to take out all those questions and seek the answers. 70% work is done. Balance 30% is based on your talent. How much business knowledge you have, what kind of regulations you are aware of it, and how effectively you can identify any sort of non-compliance. Deliverables at the end of your audit period, the guy who had to do this reporting, so he will get to see balance sheet, he'll get to see the statement of P&L, he'll get to see the audit report, LFAR, whole lot of certificates. Few branches may seek tax audit and few may not. If you are a statutory auditor, you will have to do tax audit also. Depends on bank to bank. Physical verification of cash and FA. One of the first things which your manager may say, the day you go, please verify cash and bank. It's very good, because generally what happens, why people say first day you have to do, majority of the times you will get into audit on 2nd or 3rd of April. 1st of April is closed for customers. 31st of March is closed for customers. Nothing much could have happened. So if you go and do on this date, you will get the complete information. And it will not be having too many adjustments. That is where they say it. Last, the management representation letter. You go and ask them, they say last year yaru tagondilla, why are you asking this? That's a standard thing you will get. Ignore it. Please take wherever you want, wherever you feel there are certain decisions taken or stands taken. It's always better. It doesn't mean that your scope will be diluted or you will be out of any sort of actions, but still this not only gives you some sort of security, but it makes the person who signs to think twice before signing. He is signing telling this is what which has happened. So definitely he'll think twice before signing anything, and you will get your information. This is how your advance schedule may look. You will have something called bills purchased. You will have something called term loans. You will have something called cash credit. Then you will have the details, whether it is secured or unsecured. If it is secured by whom, these informations it will come. If you see trial balance, don't get confused. It is not total A and total B. Total B is basically the breakup of whatever is there in the top. Similar, another thing which may come up is advances to whom and all you have given. This itself gives you information. Priority sector, yes. Let us see what are all the things which are there. Just select those. Public sector, a kind of better thing. Banks, others. Advance outside India, wherever you have the option, you'll get to see this. So what exactly happens in a bank? Advance basically includes whatever money they have lent and the debit balances in the depositor account. You cannot adjust debit balance and credit balance. In many times while writing your accounts paper, maybe in exams, you get a trial balance, there is debits and credit, you will consolidate both. That cannot happen here. Please be careful. Both has to be taken up separately. As I said, advances is one of the biggest contributor. And most important thing, review of controls. Spend a lot of time on review of controls. And once you have all this information, what you have collected now, as of now, you went to bank, you collected the deposit schedule, you collected audit instructions, you collected last year reports. This will give you a good idea of what kind of business that bank does, what quantum of loan it has given, what quantum of interest which is there. With this, and you also have the schedule which I showed you now, the priority lending to priority and public, that also just consolidate, run one small sampling methodology. You use Excel, gives you all information, just take it on the Excel, apply some common sense over there with analytical tools. you will be able to design your audit procedures. You will get to see, okay, these are all the accounts which I need to check. These are all the audit procedures which I may have to do. Means to say, where there is a cash credit, one of the basic things which immediately comes in your audit working process is compute what is the drawing par. If it is term loan, see the EMI statement, see whether it is being secured. So these are all the basic procedures which automatically comes in your mind. Either in your mind or your manager may tell you this, but this gives you a complete picture. The day you will get to know, okay, these are all the activities I need to do, these are all the outcomes which I need to come out with, and these are all the procedures which I am supposed to take care. As I said, couple of basically banks has two kind of advances. It could either be funded or non-funded. Funded, you know, cash credit, overdraft, term loans, packing credit, discounting of bills, agriculture loans, and maybe other retail loans, which is loans against gold, loan for cattle, loan for, various things will come. Non-funded basically are, at the moment the loan is given, it is not given in cash. It is a facility. Means, I'll just take example of letter of credit. What happens in letter of credit is, say for example, I am a manufacturing company and I have got an order from my customer who is, say, outside India. And that contract is one of the biggest contracts. When I get that contract, that it will give me a couple of months to execute the contract, and it requires some materials. One of the basic challenges for any company is, how do I manage my working capital? So I need to go and purchase materials, raw materials or semi-finished goods, by traded goods, by whatever name you call. If I go and if I need to purchase it, my vendor will ask, boss, pay me money. If there could be few cases where they pay me on credit, there could be few cases where they seek advance. Now in this case, if I want to buy it, if I have an order, so I can go with a packing credit. I'll say, boss, I have got an order. Against that, please give me loan. And similarly, what also happens is, whenever I have this packing credit, my banker will also seek, please get on security for me. Assuming this doesn't happen, then who will pay me? So what happens, whoever is buying from me, he will give a letter of credit. His banker gives a letter of credit. Means to say, once the transaction is done, I will take the responsibility to pay the money. This is letter of credit. Means I am giving a kind of credit. I am giving you an assurance that if that fellow doesn't pay, I will pay you. If basically he has to pay, my customer has to pay. And if he do not, rest assured, I will pay you the money. That is how the letter of credit works. And these are all something which is very important. And if you tackle it, how it works, you will be able to tackle majority of the decisions which you will be doing in your future. Say you join a company which requires funding. These are all the things you would have done in banking today. You'll say to your AGM or GM or finance head, boss, why can't we try this? He may be using, say, OD, you will go and say, why can't we use cash credit? He may be using term loan and you go and say, why should I require term loan? I can go for LAP. So various things you will come out with. It means something which is both beneficial in terms of interest and beneficial in terms of EMI. And these are the things what you will get to do when you go for audits. Internal controls from the banking side. What internal controls we discussed was, as an auditor, when I go, I need to see what internal controls they have in whole sum. But internal controls, especially in advance, some person comes and he seeks advance, a bank cannot lend. It will have its own activities. Someone, he comes and tells, I have an order, can you please give me a loan? He will invite, they will speak, they will have one checklist, they will send out. These are all the documents I need. So how is that? It happens. Basically what happens in any bank, there is a topmost department. It may be department which decides on lending activities, or board, or whatever by name you call. They decide or they document certain questions, certain guidelines which will be used across the table in the organization, in the bank. And that, if you comply with that, it gives you a kind of information, okay, fine, this person is worth to be lent. And you would have heard many of people telling, I tried applying in bank A, they rejected, so I'm going to bank B. They also reject, they go to bank C. So what exactly is happening? Each bank has a different module of lending. So you need to understand which bank you are in and what is their lending policy. As per that lending policy, is it worth to lend to this guy? Have they decided? And that is what you need to check. Once you go there, you check, take all the instructions and see to it that whatever they have lent is after all these activities. And wherever money gets lent, it is like money should not go to their account, to the borrower's account or borrower's supplier account, unless all the documents are signed. As an auditor, you will check, okay, documentation has happened well before lending the money. That's another thing which you will be checking. And security is very known fact, common sense. If security is 10 crores, you cannot lend more than 10 crores. Then that will be, you will be putting yourself into risk. Not only that, if at all you are tracking how stock market is working today. Couple of months back, Nifty was in X. Today, Nifty is X minus 20%. Just imagine if a banker had lent money against shares. There are concepts. Share is one of the biggest securities which is being used by borrowers to borrow money. Just imagine one of the entities had couple of crores in one of the shares. Let us take, maybe for example, assuming one of the cement companies. Today, cement companies are down. And it may be down by 2%, 5%, 8%. And if you had lent money to them, the value of security has gone down. And actually, banker is in trouble. Even if this guy fails, you have to go and execute those stocks in the market. You will not get money to the extent of what you have lent. So what happens while computing authority, rather the offer, while computing the eligibility for the loan, you will see, okay, security is X. Based on each security, they will decide what is the percentage which we can lend. If security is, say, shares, I can lend only, say, for example, it's not a rule, 70%. If it is commercial property, the fair value of commercial property into X percentage. If a person has residential property, if you are buying a house or constructing a house, they'll say, I can lend you only 80%, 20% you should bring. So he invests. In a common parlance, what happens if you are constructing the house, you will say foundation kharcha, I will do, rest bank does. That's the way in which, what exactly is happening is, banker is keeping his security well within his limits. Tomorrow, if the borrower doesn't repay, you will sell that asset at a depreciated value, which will at least cover your cost. So that's how the whole stuff works. Next, majority of securities, whatever you have taken, please make sure it is in the name of bank. Or there are certain documents which specifies the title is with bank. How basically where it happens. For example, if you are giving any loan against to buy a car. So how the details will be, the charge details will be there with the bank. If you are buying an apartment, again, it will be charged with the bank. So these kind of things which will happen. And if it is a corporate entity who is borrowing, he would have filed a charge document with the ROC and you will collect those information. And generally what happens, when you select these top customers, right, you will do something called substantive procedures. When you do substantive procedures, you will see all these movements in the account. Your Excel will again help you here. What was the maximum loan outstanding? What was the minimum loan outstanding? What was the maximum repayment? For how long there were no repayments? All these things you can do in your Excel. Either you can use some analytic tools or you can use various, it may be pivot charts and all those stuff you can apply and you will get information. And you just see what is the point where it was highest. And in your Excel sheet, when you do your manager will definitely ask you to make some documentation. In that, you would have written what is the sanction limit, say 20 crore. And at one peak point, it was more than 20 crore. So you should question, why was this? What happened at that moment? What could have gone wrong? Is it been properly escalated? That is where, and then you do your procedures. These are all the analytical things which you see when you are there in the audit. And as a bank, they should review the way account is operating. I have lent money and there are some transactions happening in that account. The bank should at least see once in a year what kind of operations are happening. Is there any operation which should not have happened, but it is happening over there? Too many credits, too many debits, some transaction, money going from this account to other account, and from there to again it's coming back to this account. So you'll get to see a lot of transaction. If there are too many transactions which are not in line with the business operations, let's imagine an entity has borrowed money for working capital purposes, which is into manufacturing machinery tools. It takes lot of money and starts investing in market. It takes lot of money, starts lending it to its subsidiary. Money goes, money comes, money goes, money comes. OC is managed, the credit is managed, but it is not used to pay any of its vendors, but it is going outside. You will question, okay, what exactly is happening? Who is that other person to whom this transaction is happening? Take it from me, it can be genuine also. Not that just because it is not used for your main vendor doesn't mean that he is doing something which is not supposed to. But you need to understand what those transactions are. What is that you verify when you take up the advances? If it is a new advance which is sanctioned, you have to take credit appraisal and credit sanction document. This is something which is very, very important. Whenever a bank lends money, they will have a sanction document, and sanction document supported by various analysis which is attached as an annexure. Why it is important is, if you know how income tax proposals comes in any budget, madam comes and speaks, and she speaks based on a document which she will be holding, and we call it as finance bill and memorandum. What exactly memorandum is? It gives a background as to why a new section has been brought in or new section has been removed. Before you understand that section, we always tell people, please go back and check what is there in memorandum. Same thing is this. Before allotting or before offering a loan, the department has done lot of analysis, and that will be there in credit appraisal. You will get all the details in credit appraisal and the sanction document. You will see thousands of communications, various inspections which would have been done, questions would have been asked from different people. Basically, how it happens in a bank is, there will be a marketing team, there will be a credit appraisal team, there will be a sanction team. All these teams are different. One marketing guy goes and talks to a customer. It may be a relationship manager also. Customer says, I need this money. So he just comes and tells you, he opens an application for him. So how it happens in bank is, these guys comes and open an application, they feed all the details, that goes to credit appraisal, and they check based on the documentation, they do their evaluation. Majority of the time, these will be chartered accountants. They evaluate whether this person is worth for the credit, whether the balance sheet gives a true picture, whether the terms what he is seeking, is it something which is acceptable. Then goes to lending department. Only after these guys approve, it goes to lending department who lend the money. All those details will be available. And once disbursements are done, you will have lot of reviews and monitoring and supervision which will be happening. Please run through that. Wherever it comes under large advances, see to it who is monitoring it and who is supervising it. Talk to them, they will tell this person is concerned person for this loan, so he is monitoring it. Have a word with him, understand what kind of supervision is he doing. Is he really visiting the place, or is he sitting in his house and taking photographs on a WhatsApp? So those are the basic things which you need to see. Understand, not that every time you will get documentation, but you should also use common sense to see whether there is a genuinity in the transaction. Advances which are sanctioned prior to the current year, yes, of course, most important thing is asset classification. Asset classification, whether it is good or bad, NPA, all those things you have. How have they classified it? If everything is good, fine. Are there any sort of negative observations? Are there any dues outstanding for long which is not being paid? Some new facility has been created, those stuff. Then if once classification is done, next process is provisioning. Whether should we create any provision for doubtful recoverability. It varies on percentage to percentage. It's a big topic. There is something called IRAC norms or maybe prudential norms. Spend some time. Once you get a hold on advances, spend some time on that. It will cover all the stuff. And of course, is the income recognized according as per the norms. Classification of assets as per IRAC norms, as I said, it is either standard asset or non. Standard assets are those which is performing wonderful, no issues, proper debits, proper credits used for the activity of the organization. There has been no irritations which is going on between the lender and the borrower. Everything is fine, your life is good, you will just see those documents, you will make notes, income is properly recognized, provision, whatever basic provision has to be done, they have done, security is fine, and customer has been a genuine. Non-performing assets, there you have pain. Some person has taken money who has not repaid within the due date. EMIs are not being properly facilitated. Interest are not being properly paid. Documentations he is not sharing. There may be various stuff. So in simple terms, there is some sort of difficulty in the account. There is a hardship which is going on in the health of that account. At that point in time, as an auditor, you should do a health checkup for that. Some things are not happening, you do a health checkup and see, okay, why is it? You go in deep. What was the original sanction? Okay, 20 crores. Sanction was for what? Out of 20 crore, 15 crore may be funded and another 5 crore may not be a funded one. He is using unfunded for funding. He is using non-funded activities for some funding requirement. He is taking OC. He is using entire 15 crore he has used, and still there are not much transactions which are happening. So you'll get to go each line, understand the business, take their balance sheet and see what is happening in the balance sheet. Are there any qualification from the auditors? Is their net profit getting affected? Is their gross profit getting affected? Is inventory piling up year on year? Last year they had 10 crore, this time it has gone up to 20 crore. Last year debtors was 6 crore, this time debtors is 12 crore. Last year fixed asset was so much, this time fixed asset is reduced by so much. Maybe you would have sold. There was some impact because of impairment of intangible or tangible. So all these things, you people are the best, you know what it is. Run through the balance sheet, you will get to know whether any challenge is there in the health of the company. Audit approach, few things. You have to obtain all the top and large exposure accounts. Basically, large exposure accounts, we have a formula. They will only give it automatically. CBA, the centralized thing, it will identify these are all the large accounts. One thing which you need to keep in mind is large accounts, you cannot see only the funded amount outstanding. Please add funded plus non-funded. Both together is the sanction. We are talking about sanction and not the value which is outstanding. And the way in which we select accounts varies from bank to bank. There is no single structure for it, but the skeleton looks same wherever you go, you can apply those. Second thing is, please ask for stressed accounts. Stressed accounts are those whose health is not so strong. SMA 1, someone asked last time in the last session, they asked, why should I check SMA accounts on 15th? The answer is very simple. What exactly is SMA? It's a specifically mentioned account, specially mentioned account. Means our system, rather the CBS, the centralized system itself has the capability to identify certain accounts. We all know up to 90 days it is okay. Beyond 90 days it is non-performing. should I wait till 90 days? So till 89th date, I'm so happy. All my accounts are wonderfully working and I'm so happy. Next day gone. Majority of my balance sheet gets wiped out. So should I wait until that day? What happens in the system? It identifies something which is outstanding up till 30 days, something which is outstanding up till 60 days, something which is outstanding up till 90. These are all SMA accounts. 1 and 2 are those. 1 is something which is between 30 and 60 and 2 is between 60 and 90. And why we say 15th of March is, if something was doubtful till 15th, it was an SMA account, but by 31st March everything is good, means something would have happened. Last 15 days, generally what happens, it is human. Majority of the times we know, even though we have time, we try to wait until last minute. So all the details you will get in by March 15th, you will get to know something is going to be a pain in my organization. I will doing some, people may take some medicine like this. Similar way, this lender or borrower will take some medicine and say, I will arrange some funds in a manner. Again, just because it was an SMA or a critical account or a stressed account as on 15th, and by 31st March, if it is fine, that doesn't mean there is an issue. Again, there could be a case, just imagine your major customer. Even customers will have, assuming I'm a borrower, I have my customers. I have been asking my customers to pay the money. They had told they'll pay by March. So it was outstanding for 6 months. By March, they paid. Just to make sure, if he doesn't pay me in March, he will not get additional discount for next year. So he will pay everything in March. He clear his books. So I'll get good money. I'll come and deposit into bank. It's a genuine source. And whatever transaction happens between 15th and 30th to move the accounts from SMA to a nominal ones, please check what kind of deposits has happened. There could be chances the account was stressed, there was a due outstanding, some money comes, using that they pay it. Just get into the source. In your Finacle, you can actually see where the money has come. If you get to realize money has come from a different bank, then okay, fine, it is not, so it may be a genuine thing. Just imagine it has come to my own bank. It may be from my another sanction, rather it may be from another account. I may have term loan, I may have a OD, I may have a CC, and these are the 3 different things I have. One of the accounts was reaching SMA 2. So what he does, he takes from other account and transfer to this account. So that account was anyway SMA 1 or it was in proper shape. So 15 days I can manage. In order to identify this, we say, please check this SMA 1, SMA 2 accounts, list it down. And on that you will decide. Even there you can see, okay, how much is outstanding for what amount and who is the borrower, all those things, you can do that. The whole object is very simple. If at all something can be done, it can be adjusted between these accounts. And if you have a control, and this reporting is not something which is done at branch level, it is done at centralized level. So you cannot mess up in any of these records. Please collect this. And while doing SMA 2, have some analytical reviews. Whatever analytics you do for your regular clients equally applies here. The common sense plays everywhere. Apply this and you will get the results. Wherever there are unsecured exposures, obvious, please have a look on that. And if it is more than 1 crore, it is something which is, yeah. So there is 10 minutes, which I'll be concluding. If exposure is more than 1 crore, if it is unsecured, you have to do additional work. Look into those, why it is outstanding, what is the exposure. If things are fine, there are proper debits and credits, nothing to worry. Your job as an auditor is not just to tell there is an error. Your job also includes things are happening fine. So it is equally important to tell that things are happening fine. So you will just look into those. Whatever was upgraded in the last years, look into those, because If upgraded means there were some issues, and with some support it has been taken into proper accounts. If it was done last year, is current year also, is that fellow in the same health or has he improved? You have to look into those. And many times what happens, internal ratings, banks use internal ratings to say certain accounts are challenging. There are lots of inspection which happens in the bank. Please use those reports. That report itself will help you to understand what are the pain points and pain accounts which are there in the branch. Internal controls, I think I explained this. One thing which you need to see, generally people miss out, whereas it is difficult also, wherever there is a sanction amount, and sanction amount is against stock or debtors. These values keeps on fluctuating. Today's stock, don't get confused, it's not market stock, it is inventory. Inventory is say 20 crore and you have offered 10 crore loan. That 20 crore may become 15 crore, it may become 12 crore. Without your knowledge, it have gone up to 8 crores. And you still have exposure of 10 crores. So as an auditor, you need to check how frequently you are supposed to collect stock reports from them. There are two ways. What banks tells is, you give me stock reports every quarter, I come and do again once. If you had to go, you check whether your bankers has gone and checked. If client had to do on his own, has he given it? And you will get some nice reports. You will see reports where stock value is around 20 crores. And if you see turnover, it is only 8 crores. So you need to do your analytics. How is it possible? If my turnover is 8 crore, can I have 20 crore of stock? And again, there may be possibility. There may be couple of items which they are selling, they couldn't sell, and so it has become 20 crore. Again, the question could be, should I impair that? If it has to be impaired, if its value comes down, your loan is unsecured. So you need to have a complete control wherever there are securities, are they properly evaluating? Again, audit approach, assertions, very important. For every transaction, you make sure you have complied with the assertions. Please follow accounting policies and RBI regulations, that will help you out. Audit approach, as I said, SMA reports, concentrate more on that. Advances about 10% and 10 crore, please, or 10 crore, please select those. Verify advances which were adversely commented in the last year. Wherever last year someone has commented, you would have said few advances are not proper. Please take those. Internal audit reports, take those. Verification, take those and use it in your audit report, rather in your field work. If someone has commented negative last time, doesn't mean you should follow the negative comment. Do your audit procedures. If you feel that it has been fine this year, you are free to give a proper, neat report on it. One thing which you need to keep in mind, a customer can have only one ID. If a customer has more than one ID, then there is an issue. And how do you see that? It's little challenging, but you can still do that. You can analyze the customer wise. One customer, one ID, but multiple accounts. He may have current, he may have term loan, he may have letter of credit, he may have packing credit, ABCD, but ID will always be only one. Audit procedures on recoverability, as I told, I gave you an example of that inventory which is being there. Please deep dive into the financial. If possible, check the inspection of securities, deep dive into the periodic statements. This year onwards, there is also a requirement from the statutory auditor to comment on the quarterly reports, whatever your client, your corporate client has given it to bankers. So to an extent, there is a requirement from a regular auditor also to check into this. As a bank auditor, it's one of the basic things. Provisions, very simple. There cannot be anything which can happen manually outside the centralized system. All the secured and unsecured portion separately to be identified. Date of NPA, I will not go deep into this. It's a little complicated. You can check it. End of the day, it is mandatory that whatever evidence you have is you are satisfied with those evidences, and wherever money has been going around between one account to the other account, please make sure those are all genuine transactions. Drawing power calculation, as I told on the inventory, every time you have to recheck on the drawing powers. If inventory has come down from 20 crores to 12 crore, your drawing power will also come down. To that extent, the credit should have come down. Just put the formulas, it will help you out. Stock audit is mandatory. Wherever mandatory, please give importance. Unpaid stock is again a concept which you need to keep in mind. Someone gives you inventory, it is 20 crores. And as per the borrowing sanction limit, you can go up to 50% of the inventory. So you have lent 10 crore. Just do an additional check. Out of this 20 crore inventory, are there any creditors? If there exists creditor, then to that extent you should remove this inventory, because when he purchased inventory, he had taken loan, means creditor. You are not paid him is also means you have taken loan. On that again you are taking one more loan. So it is one single stock for which you have two loans. So it cannot happen. It is not so simple. People will look like, they are not aware of it, or they have done without complying with all this. You have to give little more importance. Wherever you feel that some accounts are stressed, put these small points and check, confirm things are fine. And examination procedures, look into the MOS and AOS, resolutions, mortgage deeds, etc. Consortium loan is some pain. Consortium means more than one lender is lending money. There will be a concept of lead banker, the main banker who lends money. If at all you are doing an audit for a branch which is not a lead banker, he will say, I am not a lead banker, the documents are with the lead banker. Please ask, if he may give you only sanction letter, please ask him for additional documentation, he'll get it. Easily they say it is not there with me, or it is there at the centralized operations, you can still get those. Operations on accounts, I told you how the transactions are happening, what kind of business they are doing. You should have a fair understanding of the business and look into those. The transactions are as per the business module. Restructured predation. Certain practical aspects. If there are different loans taken using different IDs, account IDs, identify, mark it out. Stock and debtors reports are either endowed trust or not appearing. It's an again practical issue which you keep on seeing this. Inspection from a bank which had to happen, which did not happen. There could be some errors in interest computations. Look into those. Using from one account to pay the other account, with example I gave. Additional funding may happen to keep the account regular. One account is going bad, at that time bank lends one more loan. That loan is used to pay the one which was not right. Again, this is another practical issue which happens. Keep your eyes and ears open for this. Usage of funds, are there any siphoning happening? Money goes to your account, from there it goes to various places. Basically what happens, RBI does a capital assessment exercise. In the last capital assessment exercise, what RBI has identified, major ones: one, drawing power, lot of errors. Stock is not being taken properly, that is what it has identified. Wrongful upgradation, you have upgraded your account to a better standard account, but actually it is not acting standard. There were some regulations given by RBI using that they will just upgrade it. Later on, after upgrading, they don't do anything. They just keep quiet as though they were NPS or substandard. So those identified by RBI. Borrower wise classification not maintained, means to say it is not taken on account ID wise, instead account balance wise, savings or current, something like that. So you have to go by account ID. That is again RBI is telling. Security erosion, as I gave the example, the 20 crore worth of inventory has come down to 10 crore, but you have not taken action. Export credit I explained. So this is what all about advances, a small brief as to what you will see, how you will see, what people tell you, and how you should take it. So this is about the session. Thanks a lot for each one of you for being a wonderful and patient audience. Thanks to the Institute for giving me this opportunity. Any questions, please let me know. I have, I think, another 2-3 minutes, so I can take it up.
Any questions? So,
Yes, sir. Sir, suppose that there is a situation like you have talked about the drawing power. Suppose that drawing power is a SMA account. Like,
Drawing power cannot be an SMA account. Don't get confused. You tell, go ahead with drawing power.
okay.
Huh.
Then you said like we have to like check the inventory of the borrower, whether it's properly valued. Can we just rely on the periodic state reports which they have sent?
You can very much because this has to be certified by a qualified chart accountant.
Yes.
If you get the details, prima facie, you will accept it.
Right.
But you may also have to do some additional analysis to see what kind of transactions are happening in your loan account vis-a-vis what is the transaction in the books of account. Means to say, you see the financial, the example which I gave. If turnover is good enough for the inventory which it is showing, if turnover is good enough for the inventory which is showing, say inventory is around 10 crore, turnover may be around 35 crore, then that's fine. But on the other hand, you have a reason to believe that, turnover is something which is very nominal, or rather no much turnover happening in the last few months, but inventory is growing year on year or period on period. There may be chances or possibility that, something would have gone wrong. And to keep your drawing par, inventory has been disclosed in a different way. There you put your brain and do your analysis, and end of the day it's up to you, will report it you based on your views. Again, it is your views, right? Each person has his own views, and the assessee, or rather it's not assessee, borrower may say, yes, this is what my inventory is, you can come and check. Those things may happen, but again, it's your gut feeling and your view at that point in time, and with the experience you'll understand how to do it. Prima facie it could be a mistake.
Suppose that's what the case. Like if there is an issue, like you said, like we have to how can we access to the financials of the borrower?
It's always there. No, wherever you have one of the primary things which they have told in sanction letter is every quarter you should give me the statements. Every year within 60 months or 60 days of close of books or whatever name they call, you have to issue me the audited financials. So that will be there in your file. It will be kept there. You can see who is the auditor. You will also get to see the UDIN. That's one of the things which you check. UDIN, you go and verify with the ICA records whether that UDIN is perfect. Auditor details, report, everything you'll get to see there.
Thank you, sir.
thank you, sir. It was a very informative session. Now I call upon CA Tupatsu to give the token of appreciation. CA Shripad, sir.
And last but not least, my colleague, he is the one who helped me in all this presentation. He's one of my managers. Because of him, I could come and stand here.
Thank you, sir. Before we proceed further for the second half of the session, we'll break for lunch. We'll meet at